Okay, so let's try this again with the mic actually turned on. Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Uh, let's run a chatbot check again just in case it was just delayed. Yeah, that's about what I expected. Okay, so I am your very rough looking, very tired feeling Buddy Arden party. And today we have a bunch of stuff, but we'll start with. Yeah, let's talk about how Canada is going for UBI. Bring up the browser. Oh, the browser was up the whole time and not working properly. Awesome. What are we looking at? The official record. Okay, then. There we go. Okay, so let me full screen this. It might make it a little larger. It does not. So we'll go back to where we were. Okay, Canada's grocery benefit. I had to move my microphone just a touch so I can read this. Canada's grocery benefit is an admission of economic failure. They're calling it a grocery benefit, but you can use it for anything. It's UBI, by the back door. So in other words, the government's giving us another stiff one. More accurately, it's giving the richest, most tax-paying citizens a good stiff one. Yeah. It doesn't lower prices, it just hands your kids the debt. Yeah, and it's going to devalue the dollar even further. Because, that's the plan, clearly. How's my volume? Not bad? Okay, good. Ottawa, and this is from Satire Squad HQ. When a government has to roll out a permanent grocery benefit, it's no longer managing affordability, it's admitting the economy has stopped working. Rebranding and boosting the GST credit doesn't make food cheaper, raise productivity, or increase supply. It simply transfers cash after prices have already risen, locking higher prices in place. This policy doesn't fix why groceries are expensive. Also, I will point out that the price of gas went down very significantly over the last few months, but the price of groceries kept going up. Isn't that peculiar? Let's see. Policy doesn't fix why groceries are expensive. It doesn't reduce regulatory burdens, improve competition, expand domestic production, or raise real wages. Instead, it normalizes a system where Canadians need government assistance to afford basic necessities. And politicians call that progress. Yeah. Worse, it's paid for with borrowed money. There's no offsetting spending cut, no new growth engine, and no plan to pay it down. Yeah, the budget will balance itself, right, Mark? Where have we heard that before? Yeah, from the guy you were advising economically for years. Worse, yeah. Today's relief becomes tomorrow's taxes, higher debt servicing costs, and fewer opportunities for the next generation. Canadians are being told they're getting help when in reality they're being handed a bill and asked to pass it on to their children. If this policy actually worked, Canada wouldn't need it. The fact that it's being expanded tells you everything you need to know about the state of the economy. Canada's grocery benefit is an admission of economic failure. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've got a few more stories about this, or a few more pieces about this, so we'll get to this as well. From Melissa L.M. Rogers, Carney even fully admits this new benefit could be spent on whatever the person wants to spend it on, yet they call it the Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit. It is literally wealth redistribution, and eligible people can take this allowance and buy whatever they want. I, for one, will be saving for a plane ticket.
This is money that goes to
Okay.
doesn't give. This is money that goes to individuals. This is money that goes to individuals, directly to individuals. It's not based on what they spend. It's not tied here. Now, the fact, and they can spend that money on anything they want.
Anything. So, now that it's been shown that the obviously expectable failure of things like drug pilot programs and safe injection sites has failed, we'll just make it easier for Canadians to buy their drugs so they can forget how shit their lives are, thanks to the government. Wonderful.
Canada, it's a free country. They spend it on anything they want, as they should.
I'm sorry.
And money on anything they want is Canada. It's a free country.
Canada's a free country. You notice how he had to stumble over that? Also, what the fuck, dude? We haven't seen a prime minister with a mouth that twisted since Jean Chrétien, and he had an actual reason for it.
Spend it on anything they want, as they should. Lower income Canadians, as you know, spend a higher share of their income on food and rent. So they're more likely to spend it.
So how long before this becomes rent subsidy? It's just opening the door for a UBI. I might have predicted that was going to happen the year before last, but Better late than wrong, I suppose. Well, I think I'd rather have been wrong.
On food, but there's no differentiation. I mean, they're not. There's no mechanism for what you're saying.
Stop smiling and being chummy. You're not our friend, Mark.
This is money that goes to individuals, directly to individuals. It's not based on what they spend. It's not tied.
It's not tied to anything. It goes to individuals. Okay, thank you. What that means is there's no proportionality to it. You're not actively seeking to help one group over another. You're going to make this a blanket thing, probably for anyone who makes under, well, what Trudeau thought the poverty line was somewhere around 100,000 a year. So this will probably be anyone who makes less than 120K a year will be eligible to this. Yeah, because that makes sense. So somebody who's right at that line is going to look at, I can work harder, or I can just suck off the government tit. I know how a lot of people in Newfoundland will react to that. Let's have a look through the comments. Spot the differences. Grocery rebate. Carney announces GST rebate. Yeah. Literally standing in a produce section filled with food from the U.S. What a fucking knob. Yeah, the architect is right. Or the markitect. Booze to help forget how fucked we are. Yep. Also, I will point out that's Johnny Walker. It's not the best of scotches. If you like it, you like it, but not my particular taste. Terry John Kerr calls it bullshit. The problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. Yep. Maggie was right. Yeah, the wolf will be a vegetarian once elected. Trolling Canuck says, communism. Follow me for more recipes. Yeah. Also, am I following Trolling Canuck? I am now. Okay. Laughing my fucking ass off. A pre-election stimmy check. Will it be paid in yuan? Elbows up for China. Yeah. That might as well be the campaign sign right there for the Liberals. Let's see. I will sell out Canada for financial gain. I'm in business with China. I'm scared of Trump. Brookfield loves investing in foreign resources. Yeah, apparently 90% of Kearney's assets are American. Elbows up, bitches. Yeah. The face you make when explaining communist wealth redistribution as grocery rebates. Yeah. What else have we got on this? Okay, so
really hard right
this is do I have two of these? Yes, okay. This is the more important one. This is the shorter one from Ryan Garrettson. 2.2 million Canadians used food banks last month. 25% of Canadians are facing food insecurity. A third of those are children. More seniors are using food banks. People who are working are using food banks. When Carney says he's helped with the affordability issues facing Canadians, he is lying. Things are just getting worse and fast. Well, of course, people are waking up to this agenda that's being inflicted on the West. They need to get that shit in place as fast as possible, or else, we might actually stop them. The boomers might wake up. If the boomers wake up, you're all fucked, and they know it. Apologies for the sniffles. It is cold outside.
Hi, Ms. Beardsley. Pleasure to welcome you to the program. Thank you so much for making the time for this conversation. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So you haven't yet presented to cabinet, but I'm wondering when you do what your main message is, what you hope to tell them.
Well, what I'm coming with is the voices of the millions of folks across the country right now who are using food banks.
Now, among those millions, well, I'll get to it in a second.
As well as the thousands of folks who operate food banks.
Ontario is fast-tracking public coverage for new drugs targeting 6 cancers. That seems like a good thing.
And we are sending a message that things are really hard right now for folks. We are seeing record levels of food bank use, 2.2 million visits in a single month currently right across Canada. And we need to see action in order to ensure that folks have what they need to have the essentials of life.
This is a bit more than a 2-minute clip, so I'm going to let a significant amount of it play here and there before I offer any commentary. I'm simply breaking it up now for the sake of fair use.
Before I get into kind of your suggestions on the action front, I think those numbers are worth taking a second look at. I know you've had a long involvement with the organization. To what degree have things, in your view, gotten worse?
It's shocking even to those of us in the field to see the numbers grow as they have. Since 2019, food bank use in Canada has doubled.
Food bank use in Canada has doubled since 2019. What happened in 2019? Well, COVID took a bunch of jobs. Since 2019, there has been record mass immigration. And, yeah, you think those people give a shit about Canadians and have the same honor and ethics codes that we do? Yeah. For example, if I'm working, I won't go to a food bank because I would feel like I was taking food out of someone else's mouth who needed it, for example. An international student, and we know for a fact that this happens, has no such compunction and will actively tell their countrymen, hey, when you come to Canada, go to the food bank. They will give you free food and you can save your money, which you can then send back to India so that when you eventually leave this country after sucking at it like a leech on a very thick vein, you'll be able to live very well in your homeland. And fuck the Canadians.
These are community organizations that are showing up to make sure that their community members, their neighbors are fed. We're seeing an increase across the board. Troubling numbers include the number of children. So a third of those using food banks are children.
Whose children? White folks aren't having kids, supposedly. So whose kids? Notice at no point does she mention the racial demography of the people using these food banks.
We're seeing an increase in single adults who tend not to be seen in legislative priorities.
Single
we're
adults.
seeing an increase in seniors.
Like international students and
one
foreign
of the
workers.
troubling things that we're seeing is an increase in the number of people who are employed, who have jobs, who are now turning to the food banks across Canada.
And I remember you kind of sounding that alarm now for a few years, right? That this idea that people who are employed are still very, very much in need. What is that?
Are you sure about that, Vashi? Because if you're a foreign worker, and the aforementioned foreign worker who comes to Canada and sucks off the wealth that we have accumulated over the course of generations since our ancestors conquered this country, what would stop them from being someone who makes, and in a lot of cases we're looking at people who came in skilled trades or skilled fields, and they might be a computer programmer making over $100,000 a year. What's to stop that person from, on the weekend, calling up the food bank and saying, hey, I need food? Nobody is checking these people, whether they're making money or not. A lot of food banks don't.
Say to you?
It speaks to how vulnerable we are as a country. Now, we're talking a lot right now about the strength of Canada, making sure we build a strong future together. When you look at the numbers, we know that food insecurity has to be part of that plan forward. So when you have 24% of the population, or 25 rather, percent of the population, quarter of the population experiencing food insecurity, you can't build a strong Canada, a strong future.
You also can't build a strong Canada. You can't build a strong anything on a foundation of shifting sands. And, like it or not, the people who are coming here to work as foreigners, temporary foreigners especially, whether they're coming here to work or coming here as students, they have no reason to plan to stay here. Most of them probably don't. A lot of them do, but most of them probably don't. And when they don't, why would they care what happens to the guy next door? It's not part of their community. He's not their people.
We need to address this issue if we want to address the other challenges that Canada is facing right now.
Yeah. So the other challenges that Canada is facing right now include, obviously, too many people coming in. Are they going to do anything about it? Of course not. Rational Post points out, what's worse is Canadians have stopped donating to food banks thanks to mass immigration. Yeah, you think the foreign worker is donating to food banks that don't serve his people? Why would he even donate to help his own people? If he wanted to help his own people, he'd have stayed in his home country. Yeah. These people don't have the same biospiritual ethics and honor codes that we have. All people are not the same. All cultures are not equal. Period. What have we got here? Food inflation. Canada, 6.2%. The U.S., 3.1%. Yeah. But tell me again how Trump is doing such a terrible job for his people. Speaking of people doing terrible jobs, well, I doubt Mark Carney thinks of us as his people, but this is using Mark Carney's. Hang on, who was the poster here? This is the official record again. Using Mark Carney's own words against him. So, Mark Carney announcing a trade deal with China.
I'm pleased today to announce that Canada and China have reached a preliminary but landmark trade agreement. We have commitment.
Preliminary landmark trade agreement.
Under CUSMA that not to pursue free trade agreements with non-market economies.
So, according to the rules of CUSMA, that's the Canada-US-Mexico trade agreement that Chrystia Freeland helped negotiate, we're not supposed to be seeking trade deals with anyone else. Well, free trade deals. So, of course, if we put a 0.0001% tariff on all Chinese products coming into the country, it's not free trade.
Without prior notification. We have no intention of doing that with China or any other non-market economy.
No intention, he says, as he's, going to every other market economy in the fucking planet and trying to get trade deals. Sure, bud. Rational fandom. Okay, we'll look at that and that. Okay, these two I'm going to leave because I actually want to deal with some more response stuff. Let's see, what have we got here? Okay, since we're on the topic of migrants, we'll have a look at something from the Second Sons. So, the Second Sons Canada has posted, I do believe in following them, yes. The problem, Indian trucks are killing Canucks. Solution, remigration. More to come. And pause this and blow it up just to give you a taste of what's happening in Ontario. I believe this was in Aurelia, but I'm not 100% sure.
Investigators say seeing behind the wheel of a...
I will point out, if you have a weak constitution or are sensitive, this is not going to be a fun watch for you, so maybe go get yourself a coffee or something for the next few minutes. This one's rough.
Freightliner truck plowed through several stopped cars, killing 3 people.
Everybody knows what is causing these incidents. Very few people are willing to say it out loud.
The Humboldt Broncos happened back in 2018, and we have done nothing to change any of the circumstances now, and it's getting worse.
The only solution is remigration. They must go home.
Send them home! Yeah, I can't help but agree. Now, I will point out, Patriot Front, which this does look very much like a Canadian version of Patriot Front. In the past, I have had very disparaging things to say about Patriot Front because, sorry, but they did strike me as being very glowy. Fed up, if you will. I'm having to recalibrate that, or reassess that opinion in light of other things I've seen. I've seen Patriot Front do extremely charitable things. So, yeah, the odds of it being a fed up, I think, are far more negligible than I thought. So, yeah. And if you want to support these guys, you can find them at Second Sons CA. And I do believe they have a website as well. Yeah, it's a nationalist club. And if you think nationalist and white supremacist are synonymous, please stop following me. You're too stupid to grasp the important here. Yeah. Let's see. We have another one that makes an extremely good point. This is from Mark Nixon. And we're seeing full TDS on CTV. Imagine these people having the same outrage towards our government providing MAID for young adults with depression. I will point this out, Mark and everyone else. They're not providing it to every young adult with depression. They're providing it to whites with depression. 2 years ahead of schedule. Because, MAID is an amazing cost-saving mechanism for the government.
Americans are watching as President Trump chooses to kidnap and kill his own citizens.
Now, I will point out, I want you to watch these people's body language. These are supposed to be journalists. The way they're behaving, they're performers. This is extremely performative.
As opposed to lowering prices. Canadians are watching that in horror.
I forget what they call it. It's that smugness. I think it's called duper's delight, if I remember the term that I heard Aidan Paladin use. And hi, Aidan, if you're watching. Duper's delight is when you're telling what you know to be a lie, and you can't help but go. Smile and look, self-satisfied.
And want our government to chart a new path and a new way forward. Americans are watching. Americans
Okay, that was the end of the clip. So I need to come over here.
Americans are watching as President Trump.
Right about here. Should be right.
Americans are watching as forward.
Yeah, look at the very self-satisfied grins on their faces. So they're concerned about what's happening in another country, paying no attention, and wanting you to pay no attention whatsoever to what's happening in yours. Yeah. Let's see, what have we got? Well, if we're going to pay attention to what's happening in other countries, let's look at what's happening in the EU. Remember a few years ago when Canada put out a Maid ad that had no non-white representation, which actually is counter to Canadian law now? Yeah, the EU likes to do the same thing when it comes to war. Or sorry, NATO, rather. NATO's video has no diversity. White people only get 100% representation in ads for abortion, euthanasia, sterilization, or war. Taya is absolutely right. Traveling flying on X, by the way. NATO means a future. Not for us. Yeah, put your head down again, honey.
NATO means a
Also, I have a question. Who the fuck did her makeup?
future I can look forward to, knowing we are not alone.
She's Swedish. Where are all the Muslim migrant men from Sweden? You notice how they're not joining your forces? Yeah, you think those people are going to fight for your homeland? No. Once you're a minority, they will. Because it'll be theirs then.
NATO means supporting our Ukrainian friends
Ukraine is not a NATO country.
in times of need. Slava Ukraini!
Fuck off.
NATO means our future.
No, it doesn't. It means sacrificing your lives and the lives of your own people for foreigners who don't give a fuck about you and never would in the first place, at the behest of a government that also, similarly, does not give a fuck about you and your people. Don't be fucking fooled.
Stronger together.
NATO means protecting each other.
Okay, let's see here. Let me back this up just a
Get
bit.
together.
NATO means...
Okay, so we have short woman, possibly.
Protect...
Well, no, Twinkie. These three guys, maybe, would be a challenge in a fight. Nobody on this side of the screen from about this tree line here, this break in the trees. Nobody here would be a challenge for the average man. Except this one, if it's actually a man. Oh,
in each other.
Oh, and there's actually a fucking Chad behind them. Look at the fucking physiognomy on this guy.
For the past 75 years and for the years to come.
NATO means working side by side. Every day, civilian and military, to improve
Good God, look at the physiognomy on that one.
our security.
Whose security? I'll also point out, because I've made this screed a number of times, and I don't know that I've ever put it into a video. I probably have, and you'll probably hear it again, because it's going to be a recurring theme with me. NATO had the mission statement when it was founded to prevent Soviet expansion. Now, unlike George W. Bush, mission accomplished. Why the fuck do we still have a NATO? There's nothing more permanent than temporary governance.
NATO means celebrating our differences and overcoming challenges together.
NATO means living in a free...
Overcoming your differences. You're all members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which means you all share space on the North Atlantic. Weird.
Society and a chance to shape our own future.
NATO means serving a greater purpose to protect the ones that I love the most.
Oh, you suckered an American into getting involved in this? Shame. I'm pretty sure that's a Canadian badge. Yeah, that's a beaver. Also, yeah, it's probably a beaver down there too, but that's beside the point. I have a question. Why the fuck are you wearing pearl earrings and lipstick and trying to pretend to be a soldier? Fuck. You see these things? These things here in my ear? If I was signing up to the military, this would be one of the first things I would remove. And I fucking love these because they're part of my family heritage expression. Yeah. If you join a military, you have joined a group that you are meant to be an unrecognizable part of. A non-individual. But of course, if you suggested such a thing to most modern militaries, they go, yeah. Also, if you're going to wear your mustache right now, fucking shave it off. Or do the Hitler stash if you're going to pretend that you're going to fit a gas mask. 75 years of bullshit. Thanks, NATO. White Erasure. Who said this? This is a diplomat for Western kind, the Go Free Crusader. Tom Rousel. NATO sees us, at best, as cannon fodder for the globalist project. Yes. Depopulation stories. I'm not doing it. I'm too old. Send the young men. I'm not doing it. You hate me. Send the migrants. I'm not doing it. This isn't my country. Exactly. So who's fighting for NATO? Nobody. Paid mercs? Why you can't have a country explained. Having a country equals nationalism. Nationalism equals like the Nazis. The Nazis equals did the Holocaust. The Holocaust equals you can't question it or Jews attack you and you lose your job and or go to jail. It's actually quite true. I'm not allowed to question the Holocaust here in Canada. I'm not allowed, certainly not to deny it. Even though I do have curiosity around it. Yeah. There are quite a few things coming to light the last little while that make you wonder how much of it is true, but yeah, I can't speak to that because, yeah, Canada. I'm not fucking dying for Israel. Fair. Die already, white man. Yeah. Why join NATO? Because apparently Europeans don't even exist. Oh, I don't even think I'll watch that. Where are all the black Vikings? Yeah. Yeah, what happened to all those black, what were they? Black hermaphroditic Vikings, yeah. Where'd they go? There's a token black. Oh no, it's just blackface. He's not a blackface guy. He's a Trudeau supporter. Okay, let's do this one next. Since we're talking about international stuff, this is Mark Rutte. I think that's how it's pronounced. He's the Secretary General of NATO. He just dropped major truth nukes on Europe, siding with Trump and saying they need America to survive. And I won't read the quotes because I suspect they're in the video here.
And President Trump is doing good stuff. I will praise him. And I don't mind him publishing text messages. And if anyone thinks here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You can't. We can't. We need each other. And why do we need each other? I tell you. First of all, because also the US needs NATO. And the US is not only a...
Wrong. The US does not need NATO. The US has the fucking bomb. The US needs NATO as much as Russia does. Yeah. Also, I will point out, I understand some of my viewers are significantly older than I am. If you're still under the impression that Soviet, USSR, and Russia all mean the same thing, you're wrong. You need to update your thinking. Russia is what's left after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union dissolved over a generation ago. 36 years ago, give or take. I was a teenager. I'm 50 now. And watching that wall come down in Berlin was one of the most beautiful moments I've ever seen televised. What did it accomplish? Germany is now divided between those who support migration and those who don't. Those who support socialist policies and those who don't. And ironically, those who don't are not the ones who used to live under them. Or sorry, I think I had that wrong. Those who don't support those socialist policies are the ones who used to live under them. Well, technically, it's the children of those who used to live under them. And grandchildren. Yeah. Anyway.
NATO to prevent a mistake after the First World War, not to re-engage with Europe. And then again, the long arm of history reaching out to the US again in the Second World War, as Churchill famously said in his speech in 1941 in the US Congress. They are also in NATO because for the US to stay safe, and by the way, Arctic region is evidence here, they need a secure Arctic, they need a secure...
Canada has far more of an Arctic presence than the US, and yet our ability to patrol the Arctic is negligible. Partly because what we are contributing to NATO, as minimal as it is still taking away from our ability to protect our section of the Arctic. It makes far more sense to dissolve the NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and create something more like APTO, the Arctic Protection Treaty Organization, which, sorry, we should absolutely invite Russia to be part of. Yeah.
Atlantic, and they also need to secure Europe. So the US has every interest in NATO as much as Canada and the European NATO allies.
The US is everybody else's security blanket, basically. Let's see. Speaking of security blankets, you guys will remember that I talked about the Canadian forces talking about a potential US invasion of Canada and how, we might have to do guerrilla warfare and asymmetrical warfare and things of that nature. At the same time, the Liberals were trying to take our guns away. Yeah, from Gen Xer. For fuck's sakes, this chipmunk is embarrassing to all Canadians. And he posts something from the CCFR. That's the Canadian... let me see if I can read this. It's the Canadian Centre for Firearms Rights. Gary SRP, that's Gary I'll read it slowly because if I try to pronounce it without reading it, I'm going to make it sound like some sort of 60s bop song. Ananda Sangari. There we go. He posted a photo of an M16A2, a firearm that has been banned in Canada for nearly 50 years. CCFR's T. Wilson Ottawa called out the safety minister, pointing out the gun picture was not part of the Liberals' ban, calling the blunder embarrassing. Yeah, let's just blow this up a little bit. Okay, so... Liberal minister embarrasses himself by posting already banned gun. Public Safety Minister Gary, I'm not going to bother and try that again, proved his total ignorance on firearms yet again after he posted a photo of an already banned gun claiming it, quote, didn't belong in our communities. Tracy Wilson, that's T. Wilson Ottawa. Who's making these for you, Gary? Your staff continues to sabotage you. That's an M16A2 and has been banned since the 70s. It's an automatic rifle. Automatic rifles have been banned since the 70s. It is not part of your government's plan. This is embarrassing. And he posted, this assault-style firearm doesn't belong in our communities. We're doing something about it. Cute. The last time I saw anything that looked remotely like that, it went when you pulled the trigger because it was a toy and I was 6. Yeah. Let's have a look at the comments here on this one. Gary can barely speak English and has an IQ of 70, if that. Well, that's probably not 100% correct, red or white, but yeah, we'll leave that alone. Is his face full of peanuts? He does look like he's got a couple of walnuts stuck in his cheek, doesn't he? This man is about to commit a massive injustice to law-abiding Canadians and bring the entirety of the justice system into disrepute. Oh, please. It's Canada. We haven't been able to trust our justice system in decades. This is from Counter-Coincidism. Whatever the hell that means. Share this post if you love tacos and or want to legalize machine guns. Done. I like tacos. Ayn Rand. quote from Sarah Tempestimony. That's pretty clever. I like that. If a businessman makes a mistake, he suffers the consequences. If a bureaucrat makes a mistake, you suffer the consequences. You're not wrong. I do love Joe Kennedy. I'm not saying you're the dumbest person in the world, but you better hope the dumbest person doesn't die. Yeah, and I do apologize. The accent, not quite what it should be. The firearm they are after is this. That's not an M16A2. It is an AR-15, but it's not an M16. I don't think. Gary is listed in the dictionary under buffoon. Chippendale. That's a horrible use of a Chippendale cartoon. Please don't ever do that again. Liberals have absolutely no idea about this topic. Listen, it's not just liberals. It's people who have no concept of what a gun is, does, and how it works. Period. We are doing something about it, since the only people who would have that gun in Canada would be breaking the law. It is clear you are not doing anything about it. You are confiscating legal firearms from law-abiding Canadians. Let's whip down through one more here. This is what Grok gave me when I asked for Gary in a Spaceballs costume. Evil, that would be funny if, yeah. Foolish Jedi. It's not an M16A2 even. It's a 223 semi-auto only variant called an H-bar. The Colt only ever made a few thousand. Oh my god. Now this guy's got the tism. Also, if I'm not following him, I'm going to. Yeah. Let's see. Count on Gary to do something totally retarded, though. This firearm shouldn't even be on any list, except it's black and scary looking and made of partly plastic. Yeah. One of the things I always get a kick out of is the fact that a lot of these people don't understand that just because it's black plastic and tactical looking does not mean it's dangerous, or as dangerous as something with wood furniture, for example. Also, I think it's the Fallout games that have the wood furniture ARs, and dear God, those are gorgeous. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. We'll start moving towards the lighter stuff here now. Well, soon. I have one more thing to show you. It's from Tyler Oliveira, who has decided to come to Canada and have a look around at the Indians. That's the fellow that, if you don't remember, I'll just pause this for a moment. Tyler Oliveira, if you don't remember, is the guy who was pressured into not publishing and then finally decided to publish the video showing the poo flinging festivals in India at the end of Diwali. Yeah. Festival of Lights and shit, apparently. And he's now come to have a look inside Canada's Indian invasion. And we'll just let this play. His YouTube channel, I believe, has the fuller video. And I have it on my watch later. I haven't seen it yet, but I do recommend that you guys check it out. If you're in Canada or not. If you're in any Western country, I believe the EU or the UK just made it easier for Indians, skilled workers, to migrate. So, yeah.
Why so many Punjabis here in Brampton?
It's like home.
This is Brampton.
I'll point out, the guy that was doing this, he's driving. Good job, buddy. Looking directly the wrong way while you're moving forward at a good clip. Yeah. If the police in Brampton had facial recognition software, they should use it to get you away from a license.
Canada's Little India, where roughly 53% of the entire population is foreign-born, and India is the #1 country of origin. Where are you originally from?
I'm from India.
India.
I'm from Punjab.
Okay, I'm going to point something out. When they say they're from Punjab, they mean India. The Punjabis are Indian. Or potentially Indian separatists.
Punjab.
Everyone's from Punjab.
From Ghana.
From Sri Lanka.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that last guy said Ghana, not Guyana. Or possibly pronounced Guyana. Ghana and Guyana, very different places.
Jamaica, okay. Is there a large Indian community here in Brampton?
Too much.
Too much? Yeah.
In-store, counter, restaurant, movie theater, everywhere.
Why is it so popular for Indians here?
I don't know. It's cheap.
It's cheap? Dude, you're in Canada. It's not cheap. It's because your people have taken over.
100% certain, but a lot of people say it's because the airport's right there. It's been going on for about 40 years.
What do you do for
40 years. So since the 90s. People are only just noticing now because of the flooding immigration. How long have they been pressuring our government to let people in? Yeah.
Work.
Truck drive.
Drive?
Jesus Christ. Just remembering that Second Sons video we just watched.
Have you noticed any big demographic changes here in Brampton?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the Indian migration that's come here recently?
They're okay, but they don't bother me though.
Nice people?
They're good people, actually. I work for them. I have contracts with the buildings and a lot of it.
Would you say it's a good place to live?
No.
It's not like it used to be.
What happened?
Different cultures come in, they race around like they're in the Indy
Look
500.
at that. That guy's not watching what he's doing.
The insurance rates go up.
For the most part, what's happened is all the good white people have moved out, just kind of us poor white trash left
Yeah. Also, don't call yourself poor white trash, sir. That's anti-white, and you're better than that.
over. I've been waiting in line at a butcher shop. Behind me got served but for me because she was ethnic.
Ethnic. The truth is, she's the same ethnicity as the person serving you. Yeah.
People spending their life savings to immigrate here to Canada?
Yes.
How did you get here? Student visa, work visa?
Yeah, about 5 months.
Do you think most of...
Work permit. How long ago did that expire, sir?
The newcomers have assimilated to Canadian culture?
No.
We had one poop on a TTC bus just a couple weeks ago. The Indians are generally a dirty people, but I think we might have the upper class of the Indians.
Oh, no. No, you don't, Skippy. One of them shat on one of your buses. You think you've got the upper class? If you've got the upper class, you've got a problem.
Here, they don't seem to be eating poo like they do back in their own country. I'm as racist as the next guy, but I'm just grateful for the Indians as opposed to the
Imagine saying this.
back in their own country. I'm as racist as the next guy, but I'm just grateful for the Indians as opposed to the Muslims or the Africans.
Do you feel like a stranger in your own country here in Brampton?
Absolutely. We got a lot of African immigrants and refugees in our homeless shelter, and I feel bad for the homeless in Brampton because they're out here on the...
You moved from Africa or India, where it's warm enough to sleep outdoors all year round, and you fucked off to Brampton to be homeless. What the fuck were you thinking? And now you're flooding the shelters, too. Yeah, great.
Streets living in tents because it's too dangerous to be in our shelters.
Sorry, back that up.
Brampton because they're out here on the streets living in tents because it's too dangerous to be in our shelters.
Why would it be dangerous to be in the shelters?
So they're afraid to live in the shelters because of the Africans?
Yeah.
What have the Africans done to make them fearful, in your opinion?
Well, it's their cultures. They're okay with raping or stealing. They just have low intelligence. I don't know if you know, if you Google...
It's not just low intelligence. Okay, low IQ does explain some of it, but it's not the total explanation. Part of it is, as I said, the different biospirit, different ethnic and moral codes, different honor systems.
What is the intelligence level of Africa, sub-Saharan Africa? It's under 70. That's...
This guy is fairly based, though he did call himself an anti-white term earlier.
Low Down syndrome. Why are we bringing people in here where they could never, ever hold a job? McDonald's is out of their intelligence range. Bringing them here will have to put them on disability for the rest of their life.
Why so many...
That's the whole point. Yeah. And there's your illustrative screen freeze. Yeah, so go check out Tyler Oliveira's video. And we've got one more thing, which we're moving towards the later stuff now. So, yeah. Let's talk about Amelia. Or more accurately, let's watch some retarded Brits talk about Amelia. This is from LBC. This is monetizing hate. It's funny. We're not the ones who created Amelia, are we? Andrew Meyer 9 explains how a purple-haired AI goth girl, God bless her, has been hijacked by the far right and turned into a meme coin amplified by Elon Musk. Yeah, apparently now there's an Amelia coin.
Amelia is an AI purple-haired goth girl originally created for an anti-extremism computer game generated by the Home Office, but now an increasingly outspoken anti-Muslim flag-waving so-called English patriot. She has become very popular, and here she is in action.
I'm Amelia, I'm English, and I love England. I like having fish and chips and a pint at the local pub. I like pork, sausage, and dogs, and fashion.
This character... I will point out, if you've seen that original video, and if you watch my stuff, you have, You know what happens in the next frame of that portion with the sausage. Wonder why they didn't show that.
Has essentially been taken over, and it's staggering that how quickly this has proliferated across the internet.
You gave people a symbol they could rally around, and you provided, well, what amounts to desperate men with a female that they could respect. Yeah.
The middle of last week, from nothing at the start of January, there were 12,000 posts involving this character in one day. The other thing that's perhaps most damning about this is Elon Musk himself.
Remember, Elon Musk is chief of the Nazis now.
Has now retweeted an account which has created a cryptocurrency behind this particular meme. So you can now get an Amelia coin because, let's face it, right-wingers need another cryptocurrency.
Were you attempting to be sarcastic there? Because your tone doesn't convey that. And it almost looks like you're reading a script at this point.
But Elon Musk is now promoting that. And this is monetizing hate. This is...
No, it's monetizing poetic justice, really.
This is one of the clearest examples we've ever had of somebody trying to make money out of right-wing hatred.
Again, I will point out, for the cheap seats, standing up for your people is not hateful. Stop equivocating.
And, okay, we get hatred from all sides on the internet, but this is very...
You get hatred from all sides on the internet. Stop and think about what you just said, Mr. Marr. You get hatred from all sides on the internet. That's not sounding political. It sounds personal.
Very clear where this is coming from, and the AI account, for example, Andrew suggests is English. I'm of high confidence those videos did not originate in England. They were made outside of the country.
Are you seriously going to bitch about foreign political interference? Really? Your government invited how many people in? Allows how many people to get off a small boat in the run of a month? And you're going to bitch about political interference via meme?
Disruptive tactics.
Yeah. You know what this is, Skippy? This is thumbs up to the War Amps. You know why? Because you're a fucking champ, that's why.
Through deepfakes and other technology.
Yeah. Fuck's sakes. Damn fools. Okay, let's move on to some lighter shit. So, fandom stuff. Rational Fandom says, if DS9 came out today, you'd do exactly what Twitter told you to do and whine about a black guy in command. I guarantee it. No. I'll remove that from... Oh, sorry, that post has been deleted. Awesome. The Hijabi Gamer, Corpus Marketing. We'll read this first. I loved Star Trek. I read the novels. I discovered the novels before the TV shows. Then I saw the TV shows. I've watched the entire run of DS9 multiple times. Good choice. DS9 is, in my opinion, the best Trek. These people destroy everything. You're absolutely correct. So if DS9 came out today, you'd do exactly what Twitter told you to do. Whine about a black guy in command. I guarantee it. No. What we do is this. You mean the same way we all complained when Finn, John Boyega's character in the new Star Wars, got ripped off and turned into a fucking clown? Yeah. First face we saw in the trailer. And everyone went, oh, awesome. A stormtrooper's going to be the hero. That's cool. Let's see how this plays out. That's actually a really good twist on, the black and white, polarized, black and white in terms of good and evil, polarized representation in the original Star Wars. So if they're being a little more, just a little more interpretive, good. A little more balanced, a little more realistic. That's good. And then J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson turned him into a fucking clown and rug pulled everybody. Yeah. And then they did it again. And again. And then they made Rey falsely claim a name that she had no right to. I mean, yeah, okay, you don't need to be proud of your Palpatine heritage. But you don't steal the name of Palpatine's greatest enemy and vanquisher. That's dirty. And also I'll point out that Kylo Ren was more Skywalker than you ever were, bitch. Yeah. Let's see. From Waffle, that depends. Is it a well-written character who happens to be black, or is it a character whose entire character is that they're black? For the love of God, man, don't bring up the fact that we're all pissed off that Finn, the first black man to lead a Star Wars movie, got ripped off and turned into a clown. What did he... Yeah. Or how about Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Captain Holt. Yeah, Captain Holt was a great character in that show, without a doubt. And he was a gay black man. I didn't even know he was gay. I've never actually watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've seen a few clips here and there. But one thing I will say about Cisco, not one person who was a Star Trek fan before DS9 had any issue whatsoever with the captain being black. You know why? Because fucking Uhura was black, and she was a boss. And I mean boss in the good sense, not the boss bitch version. Then you had Geordi LaForge, who went from piloting the fucking ship to fixing it, to keeping it running, to being the heroic engineer character. I can't think of a better choice to succeed Scotty. And neither could Scotty. Scotty and LaForge, their interaction in... For the life of me, I can't ever remember episode names. But the one with the Dyson Sphere. Their interaction in that... priceless. Perfect. Perfect. Deserving of cinematic awards. But genre doesn't get awards for shit like that from the serious critics. Yeah. If DS9 came out today, you'd do exactly what Twitter told you. See, here's the problem. You think Twitter tells people what to do. No, people go to Twitter to tell you what they think. If you form your opinions based on what Twitter tells you, well, let's put it this way, Udi McTootie, if you think people form their opinion based on what's being seen on Twitter, you clearly do. You have the problem, because you clearly lack critical thinking faculties. I don't have a problem with Starfleet Academy because there's a female captain. I wasn't a big fan of Voyager, but also, just because it was a female captain is not the reason. The reason I had a problem with Voyager is because there was some shit writing. I have an even bigger issue with Starfleet Academy because of the continuity errors. Who the fuck takes off a pair of glasses and hands it to their subordinate and walks away? What are you, sharing glasses 1,000 years after the original series? Fuck right off. Okay. Yeah. Do believe I can close that now. Yes. Okay, I can close that window. I can close this one as well. So, now we have a... Oops. Kind of gave that one away. So I believe the person who posted this said, probably my favorite video of all time. This is Steve Loves Ammo. Okay. Now, normally I'd have had some sort of Sic Semper Mentalis clip to show you. Couldn't find anything this week. Or in the last 24, 48 hours or so. Sometimes they just don't show up. So, in its place, let's have a funniest home videos crotch shot moment. And this is, you know, this is wholesome. This is the kind of thing that people used to do together. This is unfortunate. Yeah, shit happens. That was definitely not just the tip. Okay. So that's going to be the end of the show today. Let me put the browser away and leave the cover up while I do my outro. So, hopefully you folks enjoyed that. I know I certainly did. If you've enjoyed the other things I've talked about, you can actually support me. There you go. You support me down there on Ko-Fi. And, as always, thanks to my supporters Simon JJ and Sadie Sapientie. One of these days I might actually say that completely right. If you don't want to support me, if you want to support me anonymously, you'll just go into the Morangutan Gang. And everyone in the Morangutan Gang is anyone who has supported me financially. If you support me financially, If you've bought merch, I'm working on the merch thing. I swear to God, I found one, and I'm going to try and get it set up by the end of this week. Also, please like, follow, share. Do not subscribe. Do not send Rumble rants. Rumble is taking far too much money, and they're not really giving any benefit to it. Now, I know that's an absolute reversal of my earlier position of, yeah, no, by all means, give to Rumble, because Rumble supports creators, and, you know, they're competing with YouTube. It appears they're competing with YouTube now to chisel the shit out of their creators, and quite a lot of us are starting to consider revolt. I know a lot of people are looking at Entropy and Odyssey for production. There's still people doing things on BitChute. Yeah, if you're sick and tired of YouTube feeding you ads constantly, yeah, come to Rumble. If you're sick and tired of Rumble essentially chiseling the shit out of their creators, you know, find other ways to support your creator. Right? Most creators are smart enough to have more than just something on YouTube. They'll either have Patreon, Subscribestar, Ko-Fi in my case, Buy Me a Coffee, I think is the same sort of idea. I know Mark Dice uses that. So yeah, I mean, there's always ways to support us. So, all that said, if you'd like to support me, I've now told you how to do that, and I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. If you put a comment at the bottom of this video, watching it in the future, I will respond to it the moment I see it. The problem is the notification system is not the best on Rumble. Again, I have issues with Rumble's back end. Never thought that would be a sentence I'd ever actually say. In any case, folks, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.